says about herself,
"Free to live, to love, and free to break away."
she has always gone against the rules of the royal palace, dating a married man who was 16 years older than her. 300 million people attended her wedding at an imaginary cost, and her marriage failed due to her betrayal of the father of her 2 children. Keep watching to find out more about Princess Margaret, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Princess Margaret Rose was born on 21 August 1930 at Glamis Castle. She was 4th in line for succession when she was born. Her father, Albert Frederick Arthur George, the Duke of York, was the 2nd son of King George V. He later became King George VI after his brother, King Edward VIII, abdicated. Her mother, Elizabeth Angela Marguerite Bowes-Lyon, was a descendant of Kinghorne, Lord of Glamis, and the 14th and 1st Earl of Strathmore. She wanted to name her younger daughter Margaret Ann, but later settled on Margaret Rose because King George V did not approve of Anne. Margaret, the younger of his parents' 2 children, had an older sister named Elizabeth, who after their father passed away, became Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom. Although they were incredibly close, the 2 siblings' personalities were very different. In 1932, when Margaret, lovingly called Margot, was 2 years old, the family moved to the Royal Lodge in Windsor Great Park. They also had a townhouse located at 145 Piccadilly, where they spent considerable time. Princess Margaret was a talkative and lively child who was forward-thinking and intelligent for her age. However, there was a story that she was born mute and deaf. It was dispelled when she made her first public appearance in 1934 at her uncle Prince George, Duke of Kent's wedding. Margaret started taking lessons in 1935 from a Scottish governess named Marian Crawford. The same governess taught Princess Elizabeth, who was 4 years her senior. Together, they studied music, literature, history, and language. Her mother also supervised her education. Her uncle, King Edward VIII, took the throne after her grandpa, King George V, passed away in 1936. But very quickly, he made the decision to wed Wallis Warfield Simpson, an American woman who had been through 2 divorces, abdicating in favor of his younger brother, the Duke of York, who reluctantly agreed to become the king. As the Duke of York was coronated as King George VI on 11 December 1936, the family moved to Buckingham Palace. While Princess Elizabeth became heir presumptive, Margaret was elevated to 2nd place in the line of succession to the British throne. She now became Her Royal Highness Princess Margaret. Her Royal Highness has been associated with many unprecedented events in the royal family. In addition, she lived a life of luxury and opulence, and used to be pampered. Her name emerged when her romantic relationships began to surface, most notably the relationship she had with her father's assistant Peter Townsend. Long before they fell in love, he apparently did not meet the princess until 1947, when he accompanied the royal family on a 3-month trip to southern Africa. Townsend and Margaret spent a lot of time together on the journey because his official job was to look after the princess. Townsend was married with 2 children at the time they met. After 11 years of marriage, Townsend and his first wife, Marchioness Camden, divorced in 1952. Townsend later proposed to Margaret in 1953. However, due to the 1772 Royal Marriages Act, Margaret needed the Queen's consent to marry Townsend because she was under the age of 25 at the time. And since Townsend was a divorced man, and the Church of England had strict rules about remarriage after divorce at the time, the Queen refused Margaret's request. In October 1955, Margaret officially stated that she would not marry Townsend. Margaret said at the time, "I have been aware that, subject to my renouncing my rights of succession, it might have been possible for me to contract a civil marriage." Townshend relocated to Belgium following his breakup with Margaret before settling in France, where he later married Marie-Luce Germain in 1959. Margaret would find love again in the years following her divorce from Townshend. In 1958, she met a photographer named Anthony Armstrong Jones, who was hired to photograph the royal family. Princess Margaret and Anthony Armstrong Jones' marriage was far from charmed, but it was one of the most historically significant in royal history, marking the first time a king's daughter had married a commoner in 400 years, and the wedding was the first royal wedding to be broadcast on television and had an estimated 300 million viewers, 20 million of which were from the UK. The pair, who met at a dinner party in the late 50s, was unconventional from the start, conducting their love affair in secret until their engagement announcement in February 1960. 3 months later, the couple tied the knot. Despite having 2 children together, David Armstrong Jones in 1961 and Lady Sarah Chatto in 1964, the Countess and the Count of Snowdown's marriage was mostly marred by conflict and infidelity, with both of them allegedly having several extramarital affairs. They were royalty's golden couple in the 1960s, before their marriage began to fail, according to Christopher Warwick, Princess Margaret's biographer, who spoke to CNN of the pair. Stories about them were legion, with their star-studded parties at Kensington Palace. If you were being invited by them, you were being invited to breathe in rarefied air. On May 10, 1978, Kensington Palace announced that the pair had decided to end their marriage after all. Her Royal Highness, Princess Margaret, Countess of Snowdon, and the Earl of Snowdon, after 2 years of separation, have now agreed that their marriage should formally be ended. Accordingly, Her Royal Highness will start the necessary legal proceedings. The couple's separation became final in July. Their divorce became the first royal marriage to break apart within the immediate family since King Henry VIII's annulment of his union with Anne of Cleves in 1540, more than 400 years earlier. 2002 years witnessed the death of the rebellious princess in King Edward VIII Hospital after suffering a stroke. Before her death, she recommended that her body be cremated and his ashes scattered on the tomb of her father, George VI, to implement the will at Windsor Palace in London, the burial place of the kings of the United Kingdom. At a royal funeral held on the 15th of February 2002, which marked the 50th anniversary of the funeral of her father, King George VI. This ends the story of the rebellious Kensington princess. And if you like the story of Princess Margaret and want to see special stories on our channel, do not forget to subscribe and interact with the bell button to receive all new and special.